To a Wild Rose. My piano teacher would have been proud if I could have played it like that. Thank you, Christopher. These words for this Earth Day Sunday from my old friend and colleague, Barb Peskin. For the beauty of the earth, this spinning blue-green ball, yes, Gaia, mother of everything, we walk gently upon your back to come together again. In this place, to remember how we can live, to remember who we are, to create how we will be. Gaia, our home, the lap in which we live. Gaia, our home, the lap in which we live. Welcome us as we are welcome here in this house, on this land, sacred land of the people who preceded us, most of us, the Massachusetts and other First Nations people whom we honor each Sunday. Our introit. Chalice lighting from Ralph Brown, at a distance, but here close to heart. Ralph.
Good morning. I light the chalice this morning with the words of Langston Hughes. In time of silver rain. In time of silver rain, the earth puts forth new life again. Green grasses grow and flowers lift their heads, and all over the plain, the wonder spreads of life, of life, of life. In time of silver rain, the butterflies lift silken wings to catch a rainbow cry. And trees put forth new leaves to sing in joy beneath the sky. When spring and life are new.
Thank you, Ralph. With those beautiful words, we light the flaming chalice of our faith. We are invited to sing together for the beauty of the earth. It's number 21 in your hymn book, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Oh
you for substituting so beautifully, or for our choir who has the Sunday off today. We did very nicely. You'll get other opportunities to show off your singing chops as the service proceeds. Good morning, and welcome to worship at and from our Old Ship Meeting House. I'm Reverend Ken Reed Brown. My pronouns are he and him and his. If you're new, we look forward to getting to know you and hope you'll get to know us when you're online this morning, or I think I recognize everyone here this morning. Good to see you all. But do get to know us even more through our website, oldshipchurch.org. Following the service, everyone here in the meeting house is invited to a time of fellowship just outside. It's a beautiful morning, at least now it is. Hopefully we'll stay that way. Our fellowship hall will also be open for conversation afterwards, and the Zoom link will remain on for those who are worshiping on Zoom this morning. And please do remember that we continue to have a basket for food, and I see that some folks have brought clothing. Also, the clothing drive, that's a good segue, the clothing drive has been extended till this Wednesday. So if you have clothes or suitcases, small backpacks, and so on that would be helpful for those who are without homes, our youth group is running this clothing drive as preface to their work in Boston later on, well, the next month. So between 9 and 1 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, we can still bring our clothes in. The other announcement, May baskets. You've been hearing about that. Here's one again. And I think Nina is going to be at the door again with order forms. She is. If you'd like to order a May basket for someone to be delivered on May 1st, or to pick it up and deliver it yourself. These are really nice. So keep that in mind. See Nina on your way out if you haven't already made your order. I believe here end the announcements. So this morning, a song for all ages. We have done this before. It's a song that I've shared this story before, I know, several years ago. As some of you know, I used to, every couple of weeks, go into the nursery, Hingham Nursery School, where Susan used to teach, and play music with some of the older kids. That means 4- and 5-year-olds. And if I was not having the best of days, I would be having a good day after I left. And if I was already having a good day, it would be even a better day. Nothing like singing with kids, I tell you. Well, one of the songs, one Earth Day, and then I continued it for a couple of years after, maybe all the years after, one by Joyce Poley, called What Can We Do? And I taught them the first, as I'm going to teach you now, taught them the first. I'm going to sing really quietly to begin with before I put my mask back on. It goes like this. What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make it better? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do to make it better? So you're going to learn that. Maybe you already have. Now, when I sang that to the kids, it got 3 parts. We're going to learn at least 2 of them. When I sang that, they wouldn't let me go any further at first because they knew what we could do. They started putting up their hands, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, recycle, pick up the trash. They already knew some of the things we can do to make the world a better place, as we do. I'll be talking a little more about that later on, but that has just stayed with me. The kids know, and so we need to learn as well. So now I'm going to teach you that first part again, and then I think they call these partner songs. Is that right, Christopher? Because there are 2 other parts, and I'm going to teach you the other part too. But here's the first one. Christopher and I will sing it through a couple of times, and then you'll know it. And you'll start singing as soon as you know. What can we know? What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make it better? What can we do? 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 What can we do to make it better? One more time. What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make it better? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do to make it better? Now, before you start giving me your answers, because I know you've got them, here's the second part. Clean up our own mess. Clean up our own mess. Recycle. Recycle the good stuff. Dispose of the bad stuff. Clean up our own mess. Now, especially you over here.
Clean up our own mess. Clean up our own mess. Recycle the good stuff. Dispose of the bad stuff. Clean up our own mess.
So you're going to keep singing the Christmas. Now, you can sing whichever part you want. We're not going to hear you. But you'll hear you, so sing with Gusta. And over here, we'll sing part one. Here we go. Clean up. What can we do? Oh, what can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make it better?
Recycle the good stuff, dispose of the bad stuff, clean up our own mess. Clean up our own mess. Clean up our own mess. Recycle the good stuff, dispose of the bad stuff.
What can we do to make it better? Keep going.
Clean up our own mess. Clean up our own mess. Recycle the good stuff, dispose of the bad stuff. Clean up our own mess.
There we go. Well done, I say. If you remember nothing else from this morning, that song is going to be going through your head. Maybe other ones too, but that one will be. God bless the little ones. Our candles of joy, sorrow, and concern. If you're on Zoom, you can type your joy or sorrow or concern into the chat, and Daveline will read what you have to say in a little bit. First candle, as we have been, is will be lit for the people of Ukraine, for their safety and well-being and freedom, for all affected by the brutal invasion. And this day and this time of year, we especially have Ukrainian Orthodox Christians celebrating Easter. We have Ukrainian Jews just after Passover, and we have Ukrainian Muslims in the midst of Ramadan, very much in our hearts on these holy days and still days of brutality, a candle for peace. Ginger Jensen, the second candle I light will be a candle of concern. She writes, for all of the mothers who have children ages infant to 5 years old who cannot be vaccinated, since there is no vaccination for their age group, and for people who are at high risk due to medical diagnosis, who are living in a society where masks are no longer worn due to, as Ginger writes, and I agree, an unqualified judge's ruling. And the third candle from Mary Thomas. Please light a double candle of joy for the arrival of my great-grandnephew, Henry Callahan, born to my grandniece, she writes, Christina Jeffs, and husband John Callahan of California. The candle of joy extends to my grandnephew, Gideon Dostie, Mary writes, for his leap into independence as a high school graduate to work on his passion for solar energy. We happily light that candle. Anyone here in the meeting house with a joy or sorrow or concern, if you stand or stay in place and speak it, I will light a candle. Derek.
Obviously, we are all upset, put it mildly, with the Russian onslaught with Ukraine. But it just brings to mind two other occasions. The Tibetans, who, not over Palestinians who, over the last 50 years,
Mm.
have lost their land. And where is our moral outrage at that?
Thank you, Derek, for these reminders as we hold in our hearts the people of Ukraine. Derek is reminding us of the people of Tibet who've lost their life, their land, and had their culture threatened over the course of half a century. And in a similar way, the people of Palestine, Palestinians, having lost a good portion of their land. And Derek asks us, where is the universal moral outrage for these as well? Thank you. Anyone else here? Pat.
But a candle of joy for a man who gave us some of the greatest words ever written. The 23rd is the birthday of Shakespeare, and the 26th is his day, or it's the other way around. He's April. He didn't die when he was born. He was born in 1654 and died in 1616. And we celebrate him because I don't know anyone who has written words that touch the heart and the soul better than Shakespeare.
Thank you, Pat. A candle for the bard, for Shakespeare, whose birth and death dates are this month, and all the hearts that he's touched, as you say, over the centuries. Connie.
I'm just glad to be back in this building. I've been zooming along. I think Zoom should be over with. So wonderful to be here. Good to see you all.
Connie, good to have you back in the building. Connie asked for a candle to celebrate her being back in the building and I shouldn't say just, Zoom is a great technology, Zoomers, but nothing substitutes for being in the room together. So we hope that many more will feel comfortable. Different for everybody, we know this, but we hope many more over the weeks to come will feel comfortable and that the world will get safer in the weeks and months to come. Thank you, Connie. Daveline, are there any joys and sorrows, concerns on chat?
Yes, Ken, there are. First of all, from Diane Elliott, a candle of love for her mother, Ann Abbey, who has begun her journey towards Soulville. May it be peaceful and may she know that she is loved by so many. Secondly, a candle of blessings to everyone and all living things on this Earth Day, and sending hugs from the Reverend Gail Collins Ranadevi.
Many of you remember Gail was one of our interns 20-something years ago, my goodness, and she's been Zooming the last couple of weeks. Good to have you with us, Gail.
And finally, from Karen Schneider, a candle of joy. She's going to Poland to volunteer with the World Central Kitchen. Her work week is May 23rd through the 30th, and she'll share more details with us as they become available.
Oh, Karen, you go with our love. Thank you. You go on behalf of us and so many others.
And that's it for the ones in the chat.
Thank you, Daveline. And these candles burn as well as they do each week for any joys, sorrows, concerns deeply felt in hearts, though they've remained unexpressed in words among us. I'm not sure that we have anyone to sing out, but I love the little song, so we're going to sing it anyway this morning. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. share a time of meditation, prayer, and silence. On this Sunday following Earth Day, we do rest, as we always rest, in the lap of Gaia, Earth, our home in the vast universe. Here on our home, gently held by the miracle of gravity, a form of love, one might say. Gently caressed by spring breezes, warmed by spring sun. Oh, how grateful for this gift of life, gifts of the earth, air to breathe, water to drink, food to eat, love to share. With each in-breath, may we feel gratitude. With each out-breath, feel our connection, share our connection with all life. As we pray the yearnings of our hearts, yearnings for peace in Ukraine and everywhere around this earth home of ours. Prayers for the care and welcome to refugees from wherever they come, wherever they may be. Prayers for goodness, more kindness, more compassion. In this world of ours. O Spirit of life, help us turn our hearts and lives towards more kindness, more love, more compassion. As we enter a time of shared silence and always, and may this time be healing and renewing. First reading this morning will be shared by Dennis Hogan, who is coming forward as I speak. Thank you, Dennis.
Our first reading consists of excerpts from Love Letter to the Earth by the revered Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. Dear Mother Earth, I bow my head before you as I look deeply and recognize that you are present in me and that I am a part of you. I was born from you, and you are always present, offering me everything I need for my nourishment and growth. My mother, my father, and all my ancestors are your children. We breathe your fresh air, drink your clear water, eat your nourishing food. Your herbs heal us when we're sick. You are the mother of all beings. More than just my environment, you are nothing less than myself. I promise to keep the awareness alive that you are always in me and I am always in you. I promise to be aware that your health and well-being are my own health and well-being. I know I need to keep this awareness alive in me for us both to be peaceful, happy, healthy, and strong. Dear Mother, my deep wish is to wake up to the miracle of life. I promise to train myself to be present for myself, my life, and for you in every moment. I know my true presence is the best gift I can offer to you. For us to survive, both as individuals and as a species, we need a revolution in consciousness. It can start with our collective awakening. Looking deeply with mindfulness and concentration, we can see that we are the earth. And with this insight, love, and understanding will be born. Here ends the reading.
Thank you, Dennis, and thanks to Thich Nhat Hanh, a great teacher who gave so much. Our morning offering will now be invited. As you know, you can, if you're in the meeting house, leave your offering in one of the baskets at either exit door. And if you are online, or later on for all of us, you can make your offering through the donate link on our homepage, oldshipchurch.org. You may give to our general expenses, our Sunday plate offering, or to our monthly outreach offering. This is the last opportunity this week for the April offering, appropriately for Earth Day, to Massachusetts Climate Action Network, an organization we have supported in the past. They do wonderful work for all of us and for our planet. Thank you in advance for your generosity. We invite our morning offering and the offertory. our second reading will be a poem shared by Elizabeth Torrey. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Our second reading is Beginners by Denise Levertov, dedicated to the memory of Karen Silkwood and Elliot Granla. The epigram before the poem begins with these words, quote, "From too much love of living, hope and desire set free, even the weariest river winds somewhere to the sea." End quote. And here is the poem. But we have only begun to love the earth. We have only begun to imagine the fullness of life. How could we tire of hope? So much is in bud. How can we desire fail? We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy, only begun to envision how it might be to live as siblings with beast and flower, not as oppressors. Surely our river cannot already be hastening into the sea of non-being. Surely it cannot drag in the silt all that is innocent. Not yet. Not yet. There is too much broken that must be mended, too much hurt we have done to each other that cannot yet be forgiven. We have only begun to know the power that is in us if we would join our solitudes in the communion of struggle. So much unfolding that must complete its gesture, so much is in bud. Here ends the reading.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm going to sing again a song we have sung here before. I've been singing it for years, decades actually. Pete Seeger's Rainbow Race. The words for the chorus are printed in your program. That will come around more than once, as choruses tend to do. My Rainbow Race. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try, to show my rainbow race it's too soon to die. Some folks want to be like an ostrich, bury their heads in the sand. Some hope that plastic dreams can unclench all the greedy hands. Some want to take the easy way, poison bombs, they think we need 'em. Don't you know you can't kill all the unbelievers? There's no shortcut to freedom. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, and because I love you, I'll give it one more try, to show my rainbow, to show my rainbow race it's too soon to die. Go tell all the children, tell their mothers and their fathers too. Now's our last chance to learn to share what's been given to me and you. Stand up if you like. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shores. Oh, listen to yourselves. One earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, and because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. Oh, that was lovely. Please be seated. I guarantee you, singing that together is a memory I will carry with me always. Thank you. It's beautiful, even with masks. We sounded so good. Never Too Late, a sermon for Earth Day. Wasn't sure whether to put a period at the end of that title or a question mark. Near the end of my Easter sermon last week, some of you may recall, I quoted climate activist Bill McKibben, who invited us to get outside or just look around and love the earth. He said, it's so lucky to be in love with the earth. And he said, and luckiest of all is that it's never too late to fall into this particular thrall. All you need to do is to begin to look around. It is all about love, isn't it? We've been hearing this morning Thich Nhat Hanh's love letter to the earth. Denise Levertov declaring that we, quote, have only begun to love the earth, and Pete Seeger's words we just heard and sang, and because I love you, I'll give it one more try. All about love. Love for the earth and every little piece of the earth. I mean, can we really love a whole planet? I think so, but it's easier to love the small pieces, isn't it? Every little piece, as Thich Nhat Hanh put it, addressing the earth as he did, that, quote, you are always in me and I am always in you. In other words, we don't just live on the earth. That's where the idea of spaceship earth was not quite right. We're not just traveling on the earth. We are of the earth. We have grown from the earth. And to love, this means among much else, to love another human being is to love the earth. It's one way of loving the earth. To love a beautiful spring day is to be loving the earth. To love the oak or the maple coming into leaf in your backyard is to love the earth. The waves at the sea or the sandy beach is to love the earth. And when you love someone or something, you of course, are moved to take care of that which you love. I said when you love someone or something, there are no its. About 100 years ago, Jewish philosopher Martin Buber, in his book, I and Thou. How many of you read I and Thou years ago in a class or something? A number of you did. I and Thou. He proclaimed that to live a full life, richly meaningful life, in relationship with others, you need to be in a I-thou relationship, not I-it. And it is, you use an it for some other purpose, right? Sometimes not a very holy purpose. So we need to experience each person as a thou. A tree, he gave the example of a tree, and I would add now, and he probably would if he were still with us, to add the earth as a thou, not an it. We exploit its for some selfish purpose or gain. The extreme example, of course, is human slavery. The enslaved person is just seen as a means to an end, whether building a pyramid or growing a field of cotton. These days, too many corporations and nations see their people as its as well, in service to their own sometimes greedy goals. Earth, too, for too long and still, we humans have more often than not, or too often anyway, treated the earth as an it, as a place to plunder and harvest just for our own needs, which we do have, of course. See the lakes. There's a recent article I just read. There are people who want to give lakes, who think that lakes and trees and forests have rights and ought to be able to sue in court. They have. There's a lake, I think it's in Florida, I can't remember, that is actually suing for its own right to exist. How about that? So we too often haven't had enough concern for the long-term health and well-being of lakes and trees and forests, and not to mention the earth herself sustainably. All of which, of course, has brought us to where we are, all too slowly discovering that when we treat the earth as a thing, as an it, we're treating ourselves also like a thing or an it, doing harm to ourselves and to other human beings, all beings on the planet, right? Is it too late to change course? There's the question. I'm going to get to that. But first, when did you first, think for a moment, reflect, when did you first realize you were in love with the earth? Or even in retrospect, maybe realize that what you felt on some occasion as a child or whatever it was actually love for this earth or for a piece of it. One of my early memories, I may have shared this before, we were traveling, our family, we lived on Long Island, so we were traveling from Long Island across the Whitestone Bridge to go to Thanksgiving dinner at Aunt Alice and Uncle Ray's up in Avon, Connecticut. And when you cross the Whitestone Bridge going north, if you look to the left, you get, as many of you know, a stunning view of the New York City skyline. Well, it was stunning that morning about 60 years ago, but not in a good way, not in a happy way. It's now a famous event, a major air inversion. The atmosphere kind of flips and it traps for days all the accumulated pollution. The air, if you can call it that, was brown. It was ugly. And I felt the ugliness of it. I felt the sadness of it. Only in retrospect, I think I realized that this was, maybe it's taken me this long to realize that this was an expression of love. And as a 12-year-old or 11, whatever age I was feeling for the earth in it. Because think of you and your relationship with a loved one, a dear one. When they're sick or they've been injured or they're in harm's way, you reach out, you feel terrible for them. You want to do something. And that's all about love, of course. Now, fortunately, when I was growing up, I hope for you too, there were many more positive experiences of love. Right in our own backyard, we had this wonderful Japanese cherry tree blooming so extraordinarily. Every spring we waited for it. And then the petals would come down, so beautiful. And I had many summers in the Adirondacks. I was so fortunate to be able to go to summer camp and be in the midst of the lakes and the woods and the mountains of the Adirondacks. Or Jones Beach. I said I lived on Long Island. We were 20 minutes away from Jones Beach. Oh, my goodness. All so easy to love. All of this, so easy to love. And of course, my love affair continues, as I expect so does yours, with every sunrise or sunset. It's a different show every day. Have you noticed? It's not exactly the same. Or a glorious high noon. Oh my, and it's spring. I mean, every day. The leaves are a little bigger, the buds and flowers and so on. The greening of spring, the splendor of autumn. For me, on my runs at World's End, or in Wampatuck Park, or walking on Nantasket Beach, as many of us here do, I feel the love. Don't you feel the love? You can say amen or something. Yeah. And the birds, the chorus now. And, I had planned to say, with hopes for the returning hummingbirds, this morning I saw the first hummingbird at our feeder. If you've got a hummingbird feeder, keep a close eye. They are back. These amazing, miraculous little creatures having flown 20 miles a day. Did you know that? To come from their wintering southern climb back to their northern home. What's not to love, right? Sadly, of course, my love affair and yours also includes echoing that experience I had with the air inversion all those years ago. Many negative effects, climate-fueled devastations of heat waves, killing hundreds or thousands, and storms beyond anything that we've seen before. Right now, we mourn with the people of South Africa who've had flooding beyond anything in their memories. Oh my goodness. But you don't need to hear the list again to know it, and to feel it. This poignant sadness when someone you love is suffering, which is love. All of our siblings in the human family, all the family of life, right? Back then to my question, is it too late to change course? Sometimes it feels like it must be. That list of climate change, climate crisis, disasters grows every day. And the war in Ukraine, though it might eventually, so many of us hope, lead to our more quickly weaning off fossil fuels. Let's surely hope that's the case. But right now, it's causing untold suffering, just that war always brings. And now the prospect of hunger and famine across the planet. Ukraine, the breadbasket, I hadn't fully realized that. Food shortages and hunger loom. Is it too late to change course? Well, do we even know enough to hazard an answer? I think not, actually. What can we really know about the future? Know enough to make that judgment. At most, we know enough to be worried, really seriously worried. That's okay. But we don't know enough to declare, that the end is near, that our river, in Denise Levertov's words, is hastening into the sea of non-being. We don't know enough. Wendell Berry, some of us were sharing this poem in our class on Wednesday, this poem titled The Future. Wendell Berry, activist, essayist, novelist, and poet, and farmer. Wendell Berry wrote, "For God's sake, be done with this jabber of a better world. What blasphemy," he wrote. "No futuristic twit or child thereof." I wish he'd really just say what he thinks. "No futuristic twit or child thereof ever in embodied light will see a better world than this, though they foretell inevitably a worse. Do something," he went on. "Go cut the weeds beside the oblivious road. Pick up the cans and bottles, old tires, and dead predictions. No future can be stuffed into this presence except by being dead. The day is clear and bright, and overhead the sun, not yet half finished with his daily praise." This poem reminds me, as maybe it does you, of my experience with those 5-year-olds all those years ago when I began singing, "What can we do to make the world a better place?" They knew. Pick up the trash, recycle, and so on. Do something, just as Wendell Berry wrote. And we know, too, to recycle and pick up the trash and much more, to do our best to reduce our energy use, our carbon footprint as individuals, and to demand of our corporate and political leaders to lead when it comes to weaning ourselves as quickly as possible off fossil fuel addiction. Here in Hingham, town meeting just a year ago voted, my recollection is it was a pretty overwhelming vote, to move in the direction fairly quickly to zero emissions in the town of Hingham. Now that didn't happen magically, by the way. It happened because of activists, many of whom are you all in this congregation, among you all. It doesn't happen magically. People do these things. But it happened. And right here at Old Ship, when it comes to the new parish house we hope to build just down the hill, I know that you, I have to say you now, I'll be watching and with you in spirit, then it will be built as close to zero emissions as possible, even if it means having to raise some additional funds and to be an example and motivate others to do the same. A great opportunity. Now, as I suggested a moment ago, though we don't know enough, I don't think, to know about what's happening on the planet, we do know enough to be very worried. We don't know enough to know the end is near and all is lost in the future. But the better news is, to put it another way, not only do we know what to do, well, we know enough to be hopeful, and that's because we know what to do. That's where hope is rooted, in the present. We know enough and love enough to know what to do. Václav Havel, that amazing activist in Eastern Europe and Czechoslovakia all those years ago, he wrote this: "Hope is a deep orientation of the human soul that can be held in the darkest of times an ability to work for something because it is good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed. To work for something because it's good, not just because you think it might work out. Even better news, of course, is that we're not doing this work. Whatever little bit we feel we can do, we're not doing it alone. There has been a growing, and we are part of a great and growing number committed to making a difference in the midst of the climate crisis, climate justice, and to make more likely the flourishing of life for the next generation and the next. From the youth movement these days in this country called Sunrise to a burgeoning global movement that Bill McKibben has started just a few months ago called the Third Act. That's the act. I'm looking around. Most of us are in the third act of our lives. This is a movement of elders for climate change and voting rights and much else, along with activists and innovators around the planet. Now, we all know, as I bring to a conclusion this morning, that the most recent United Nations report on climate is pretty daunting, makes clear the imminent danger we face. But at the end of these reports they just released, they say there is still time, not much, but there is still time to avert the worst. And we have the tools and the knowledge, they said, and we know this, to turn things around. It is about governments, not just about governments, about corporations and scientists and innovative tech leaders and so on. But we need to continue to generate the will. And it's will rooted, I would say, rooted in our, I hope, our ever-deepening experience of the reality of who we are, which I preach almost every week, that we are living parts of living, breathing, interdependent reality that we call Earth and even universe. And every Sunday we're invited to not just to think this, but to feel it as we gather. It's where it all begins, is remembering and knowing who we are. Then we can join in the spirit of one of our wonderful former old ship interns, Gail Collins Ranadevi, who in her recent beautiful book on the challenge, it's kind of part memoir, part prophetic call, on the challenge of climate crisis, she affirmed this simple sentence: a lifelong student of nature and human nature, Gail writes, I choose to believe that our species can and will wake up and take action. Well, I do too. You? Amen. Let's do it. Blessed be. Well, I feel called to sing just a little bit of another song before we go to our closing hymn, even if it keeps us a few minutes longer. Right? God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. It goes like this. I'll sing a few verses only. When we look and we see things that should not be, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. That's going to come around. It's time to turn things around. Trickle up, not trickle down. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Don't give up, don't give in. Working together we all can win. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. Don't give up. Oh, I sang that. There's big problems to be solved. Let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. What we do now, you and me, will affect eternity. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. When we sing with younger folks, we can never give up hope. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. Echoing my message this morning. Candles are all about love. And they're about hope, too. I can extinguish the flames. I cannot extinguish the love or the hope. And we're going to be invited to stand in a moment and sing our closing hymn in your teal, soft-covered hymn book, Blue Boat Home, number 1064. 1064. Speak the benediction. Simply means good words. I hope they will be good words. There are flyers here if you'd like to bring clothing or other items for the folks who are without homes into our clothing drive. These are right here for you. May we, on this Earth Day Sunday, be good housekeepers, good homekeepers for our lives, for the lives of all generations to come, for the lives of all beings. May we be good keepers and tenders, tenderly tending our home. May it be so this day and always. Amen, and blessed be.